Hi, I'm Rosco and welcome to EV Marketplace on a Wednesday night. And if you're watching us live on Facebook or on YouTube, welcome. And if you're watching us catch up a little bit later on, thanks for joining us. We've got another huge night tonight. We've got our deals, we've got plenty of data, and we've got lots of discovery. And of course, if it's 7:30 on a Wednesday, it's got to be EV Wednesday. I think Ludicrous Feed is on 9 o'clock tonight to catch up with all the latest news on the new cars. But we've got a deep dive tonight into Denza. We caught up with Mark Harland, COO of Denza Australia. And he started up late last year, a luxury subsidiary of BYD. Already they're going gangbusters. I think he's done over 2.5, close to 3,000 cars already. Really happy with the way it's going. And it was a fascinating look at starting up a new brand, what Denza stands for, and the models that they've got now, and the ones that are coming as well. Plus, Dave Power, my good mate, joined us because he's bought a Denza. So exciting stuff as we caught up with him to have a look at what he bought. And it's a people mover and he likes it, and it's a great car, that's for sure. Full electric, of course. Some of the Denzas are hybrid, but plenty of electric ones coming, Mark assures us as well. So, thanks, guys. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Murray, for joining us early. This is amazing. Good to see you guys. Hey, let's get into it because I couldn't let Denza have all their own way tonight. So we got some breaking news just to kick things off. Something crossed my desk, and take a look at this. This is a little hint of some news that we got in the last couple of days. And there's a guy called Greg McGarvey who's been trying a long time to build an EV in Australia. Not just build one, but ensure it's fully sourced, fully designed, fully manufactured here in Australia. He's been trying a long time. There's been a couple of versions of it. And you might remember a couple of weeks ago, we did a feature on this Rosco, I think it's called. BYD's entrant into Japan with a K, electric K car. Big K's, good pricing, and I think you can check out Gavin because he's over in Japan at the moment on his YouTube channel, and he's doing a bit of work on that. I think they're even considering it for New Zealand at the moment, so have a look at that. But we're not letting BYD have all their own way tonight. I just couldn't help. Well, it's one of the biggest companies in the world, the biggest automotive companies in the world versus one of the smallest with Greg and Ace. And of course, I'm talking about Ace Automotive, right? Finally, we got a press release in the last couple of days that Greg has finally he's starting a roadshow around Australia for this fantastic little minivan and fantastic little ute. It's designed to be a last mile machine. It's got a small motor, it's got a small battery, and it's a small vehicle, but it's designed just for that last mile delivery, and it's Australian made and Australian built. So what else can you ask for? I mean, I think he's done a magnificent job in the last few years. It's 33,785. It's not going to be the cheapest. It's not going to have the longest range. It's not going to have the most capacity, but it is built here, and you can buy something that's here right now. And he's started to take orders already. This is the size of it. It's a cute little thing. Just again, that sort of K car style, K car size. I'm really thrilled that he's finally pulled this off. I've been following him and I've had a couple of chats to him. He's doing a roadshow around Australia, and we'll show you some dates there, but I've caught up with Greg a couple of times, and I would love to put this on the website on Amazing EV, our own marketplace. I know it's a new vehicle, but anything I can do to support him and try and get the word out will do, because it is a beautiful little car, really cute. Not only is there the little van version, but he's also got the mini ute version as well. Let's have a look at the price on the mini ute. I haven't had a look. Same. So little workshop, and you can see some of those ones, those Daihatsus and those Suzukis. And we do know of one in the Ava family that's a Suzuki little minivan that's been converted to electric as well. It's very similar. It's K car size, if not a little bit bigger. Finally, we congratulate Greg because I think he's done a magnificent job to design this thing, finally get it built here, and finally start to get it delivered. And it's probably a bit of a far cry from the original conceived model that you may have seen. I don't know if you've seen this one floating around. That was the first rendition of it and that design there. So he had Albo on board, and of course it was going to be 20 grand. I mean, yeah, time goes by, costs build up, but he's got this fully certified. It's made in Australia. Brilliant, and congratulations. And The email sets out if you want to have a look where you can go and check it out. He's doing a roadshow down the east coast of Australia, and in the next 2 months, I don't think he's going to be in at Everything Electric, unfortunately. But I might try and give him a call. If you want to, you're in Sydney. He's going to be out at Olympic Park on the 27th and 28th of August, Thursday, Friday. Today's Wednesday, the 26th. He's in Newcastle, been in Newcastle, down the coast. He's off to Wollongong and Melbourne in the next couple of weeks for anyone watching from down there. He's touring around Australia back up to Mackay, far north Queensland in September. It's a pity he's not going to be at Everything Electric on the 18th. It'd be a fantastic place. But I might try and give him a call to get out there and have a look, because this is a wonderful initiative. And I might try and get some more video and maybe have a chat to him if I can get out there as well. Fully support what he's doing and just love this whole concept. So we're going to leave the new car news at that. There's been lots of other bits and pieces come out this week as well. But for us, it's been all about amazing EV. We've really, really had a great week in terms of listings. Lots of new cars I want you to check out. And we're going to go to an ad break and have a quick look at them already while the crowd gathers, the coffee's poured, and settling around the heater, and have a look, because we have some magnificent new cars on the website this week. Listings are coming thick and fast. Hyundai Kona there, Tesla Model 3s, BYDs, MG4s, they're all coming. Some long-range ones seem to be coming to market. There's plenty of capacity, battery capacity, and plenty of kilometres in range. So let me take you to the ad break. Then we're going to catch up with Mark Harland just after the break, and then talk to Dave about his new Denza as well. I learned a lot from Mark. I met him a few years ago. He gave up his time for Ava once at BYD when he was there. We had a beer with him at Everything Electric a couple of years. Now he's the COO of Denza Australia, and they are going places. We'll see you after the break. And now I'd like to introduce you to Mark Harland, who's the COO of Denza Australia, one of BYD's brands, their luxury brands. Why, as a used EV marketplace, are we looking at Denza? Well, they're going to form a huge part of the used car space very shortly. We want to get on top of these models, and I met Mark a while ago now. Asked him if he'd come on and talk about Denza and its growth story so far in Australia. Along with that, we've got Dave Power, who's bought a D9, and we look forward to catching up with all three of us a bit later in the interview. Mark, welcome to EV Marketplace on a Wednesday night, and thanks for joining me.
Hey, Rosco, thanks for having me on. Good to connect with you again.
Yeah, it's been a while. We first caught up at a BYD, and we'll go into that, why you're at BYD 2 or 3 years ago, showroom in Alexandria, when you were doing an AVA presentation. Then again at Everything Electric in probably a couple of years now. But yeah, we always ask everybody what their EV aha moment was. And I know you've got a long and distinguished automotive career, and we'll love to explore that a bit more. But when did you really see EVs as the future?
Yeah, good question, Roscoe. I think when I left Holden and as Holden was closing up, which was kind of a dark moment in automotive chapter, not just for me, but for many people in Australia.
Yeah.
When that was finishing up, I thought, okay, where's this industry going? What is next? And the more research I did, I had the luxury of having some time off to myself, probably for the first time in many, many years.
Yeah.
And started to do the research and look where the trends were and where the opportunities. And I kind of locked into that space and said, I think EVs will be the future. Now, whether it's 1 year or 5 years away, I locked into that, and away we go.
I've got that picture up at the moment now where Mark was appointed by Holden almost 10 years ago, a bit of a blast from the past, but you've been an automotive guy for your whole life. So, and the great thing about having you and talking to you is that you're an EV guy now, but you've been an automotive guy and a petrol head your whole life now. Tell us about your EV journey, because it really puts you in a great position to see all sides of every story.
Yeah, well, I started, and I brought a picture for you here, Roscoe. So my grandfather started in Montreal, Canada, with General Motors vehicles back in the 40s. This is a picture from, I think, late 50s, early 60s with General Motors. It was Buick, Pontiac, and Vauxhall at the time in Canada. So I think automotive has been in my blood. I worked in the retail space for quite a while, and then post uni got on with General Motors and on the corporate side, and did that expat thing. So cross North America to Europe, to Shanghai, where I was, as Singapore. And when I was in Singapore, Roscoe, they gave me the choice. They said, you've been an expat for a while. Your choice is Detroit or Melbourne. Now, I knew that I knew Holden growing up as an automotive guy. I just knew Holden as this historic, legendary brand. And a lot of the great vehicles that are Chevrolets in North America had some DNA from Holden engineers and design. So long story short, I said, I know it's not probably the best chapter to come down, and the fact the plants were closing, but I wanted to have a crack, and we did. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way any of us wanted.
And we'll carry on with that story, because this is where it really gets interesting about EVs. You were in China at some stage way back when.
Yeah.
What was that like then?
Well, so China, before Singapore, so I was 2012, 13 in China. So 13 years ago. And that's when it was the heyday of the joint ventures with, General Motors had a joint venture, Ford, Fiat, Volkswagen, and those were the groups, right? And most people were buying these JV vehicles. Yes, a lot of them, they were all built in China. But I got an appreciation of the size and the scale and the capability. But to be honest, 12, 13 years ago, I don't think I would have bought a Chinese made. Probably wasn't on my radar.
No, that's for sure.
Fast forward to after Holden, I did a couple of consulting projects, which landed me with AGL and helped AGL to put a EV subscription program together back in the early days when it was really just Tesla and the Leaf. Those were the only two EVs that were really in market. And we did a subscription just to see the impact, the market appetite, the impact on the grid and overnight charging and people that were using solar, to really understand how the whole ecosystem worked. And that was an amazing experience. And through that, Rosco, I said, I think this is really fun. And I met Wing, the MD of BYD, and Luke Todd, who was the distributor for the buses, for BYD buses. And they were talking to me about electrification of buses. And I said, well, buses are nice, but not really my thing, to be honest. But if you ever bring cars in, give me a ring. And then for 4.5 years ago, I got a phone call. They said, yep, we're launching EV Direct, this distributor, and we need some car guys to help. And then I joined the journey 4 years ago with the distributor.
And then if you look around, I think, again, I'm going to get this wrong on the model of that that little boxy BYD that was floating around. Was it an E6 or an E8 or something like that?
Yeah, so Rosco, that strikes very close to home. So my son is the proud owner of an E6, and basically, so Luke and the team, we brought some E6s in as a taxi fleet to really test.
That's right.
And then they parked them. They did a test for a year or so, and we parked them in a shed. And so, as EV Direct, the distributor was finishing up and transitioning to OEM, we said we can't sell them as retail, and so we did a special employee offer to everyone at EV Direct. So I bought one because I knew my son was just his license. So my son is the proud owner of a green and white E6, and
you see them around. There's a couple on the road as taxis, as Uber's still here, and we see them around. I always say that it took Hyundai, like 40 years to go from the Pony to the Ioniq 5, and it only took BYD 5 years to go from the E6 to basically the Seal. So absolutely incredible.
Well, it was E6 and then Atto 3.
Yeah, Atto 3.
And then Seal and Dolphin, and it was growing, and then Rosco, really probably one of the most exciting projects I've been involved with in recent history was the Shark. So the Shark is really what put BYD on the roadmap in Australia. And that was a vehicle, in China, utes, pickup trucks, whatever you want to call them, they're not used. People don't have any use to them. So this was uniquely Australian and obviously for markets in South America and other parts of Southeast Asia. But they developed this from the ground up and record-breaking time, I would say less than 2 years from
phenomenal
the drawing to the car that you see on the road today. And it was just an amazing project to be a part of. And because they came down and we went to all the 4x4 shows and everything, Rosco. We did all the testing, tested all the entire range of vehicles of that, from Hiluxes to Chevy Silverados and everything in between, right down to, hey, Mark, can you put some gloves on? You seem to have the average size hand of an Aussie. Put some work gloves on. How does it feel with the wheel? Put your work boots on. Do you have enough room with your toes in the wheel? I mean, in the footwell, I should say. So they tested everything.
And it is brilliant because it has been enormously successful. And again, when we met at Everything Electric probably 2.5 years ago, when it was out at Olympic Park, probably maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, maybe I've lost track of the timing, but I think after over half a beer, you'd said you had something very exciting coming, and you were really excited about that. You didn't tell us what it was, but you entered pretty heavily, and you were extremely excited, and it's all proven to be so. So at that stage, after BYD, Eggers got involved, BYD corporate got involved, without giving the whole history, but it's important to get where you are now. And then how did the Denza opportunity arise?
Yeah, so BYD decided to take on the direct distribution of obviously the BYD. So they took that over from EV Direct.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of pathways. That was just about a year ago, like you said.
Yeah.
A couple of different pathways. And I knew that Denza was on the horizon. And one thing led to another. And they said, would you be willing to come on board to help us launch the next new thing, Denza?
Yeah.
And so obviously I jumped at that opportunity, and then we started to carve out what were the vehicles that would be the ones, because there's a portfolio of vehicles similar to BYD. And
what do they call it in China? It's slightly different.
So some of the Denzas are Fengcheng Bao, and so they didn't want to have multiple brands and can cause confusion here. And I think Denza is a lot easier to say for the average Australian than Fengcheng Bao. So we took some of these great off-roaders, the B5 and B8. We could have launched with different vehicles.
Yeah.
I felt, and it was supported by the leadership team, that we needed to put a flag in the ground and say, Denza has these great PHEVs. I know they're not pure EVs yet, Rosco, but that's on the pathway.
I know.
in the future. But we need to do vehicles that are properly capable of handling not only driving around the suburbs of Melbourne and Sydney, but proper off-road capable vehicles that can do anything our competitors can do,
Yeah.
which is why we launched with the B5 and its bigger brother or sister, the
Yeah.
B8.
I understand. And at that time, look, it was a different scenario making that choice a year ago. I understand completely that EV penetration wasn't that great. Hybrids were looking at cementing their market, and Toyota had their Prado and um, their Land Cruiser coming in, and so yeah, there was
Yes.
some natural new taste and for good cars in that space. And again, looking at Denza, how would you describe the brand? Is it like a Toyota Lexus type of relationship?
Yeah, so we are definitely the premium brand of BYD. So we
Yeah,
get to take advantage of, BYD's DNA is the battery. So
yeah,
if you've got a great battery in your vehicle,
yeah,
that's a large part of the battle. Then the total vertical integration
yeah,
of the company of 85% of the stuff is done in-house. And then the supply chain logistics. So we get to take advantage of all this,
yeah,
the 120,000
yeah,
R&D engineers that they
yeah.
have, and the testing they do, not only in China, but extensive testing that is
Yeah.
done here
It
in
rolls
Australia.
it rolls off the tongue, but you've seen it. You can vouch for it. You know you've been there, right? Many
Yeah.
times, right inside, right? Mm,
Yeah, so it's quite amazing. So we get to share all that, the engineering and the technology, and then what Denza does is we go, okay, what's the next level of tech? What's the next level of
yeah,
luxury? So the three pillars, if you will, for a Denza is that capability has to be capable. The off road vehicles,
yeah,
it has to have the top technology. We want to aspire to be the most technologically advanced
yeah,
brand in Australia, and that means usable tech, not just tech for
yeah,
the sake of it, but tech that actually
yeah,
helps you in your driving. And then obviously we need to bring the luxury finish in there, and we bring it in at a price point that actually can bring people up from a mainstream brand,
yeah,
and we're finding people coming down from higher priced luxury brands. So we're actually, as disruptors, we're getting people, we're
yeah,
kind of in the middle from a
yeah.
price point. So people are stretching up, going, wow, I can get all this tech and luxury for a little more money.
Mm,
And people going, yeah, I
yeah,
spent a lot of money on this a few years ago and
yeah,
I'm paying a lot for service and other things.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe I'll give one of these a go. So that's of the vehicles that are being traded in, we're seeing kind of both ends of the spectrum.
yeah. You mentioned the magic word there, and that's service. And so, building an OEM or a brand from scratch for any product is challenging, but for a car for a car brand, it's particularly challenging. How do you cover the whole thing? How do you cover it from sales? Again, massive question, but how do you make sure you cover it from sales to service to parts, all on the chain? How do you do that when you're thinking about it a year ago and taking on this job?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. So one is we want to look at who are the benchmarks in the industry in
Yeah.
that premium luxury space, and then we
Who,
wanted to build out a
who,
footprint.
who are they by the who are they by the way?
Yeah. Well, it's changing on a daily basis. But yeah, if you would say, if I look at the luxury premium end of the market, certainly from as you mentioned before, Lexus,
Yeah,
and then you have Audi, you have Range
yeah,
Rover, that we compete against, and even BMW and Mercedes. So
yeah,
so that whole premium end of the market is, and there's some new Chinese brands that are
yeah,
going to start to penetrate in there as well. So we're not the first, and we're
yeah,
certainly not the last. So we look at all those competitors, and we want to benchmark not only the product, because I think our product's as good, if not better,
yeah,
but the customer service. And some of
yeah,
those brands I mentioned, people go and buy them not always because they've got the latest, greatest products, but because they love the customer experience. And so one of the principles, the founding principles of Denza is to, once you buy a Denza, you join the house of Denza. You
yeah,
become a member. I even call people family members. So we've invited some of the first owners were invited to come to China to
yeah,
see the factory, to go to the R&D, to meet the engineers and
yeah,
the product people that develop the product. So we want to develop and deliver a world-class
yeah,
customer experience. So that means footprint. So
yeah,
we currently have 17 locations,
mm,
and in fact, the meetings I was in earlier today is talking not only having beautiful showrooms and a great customer experience, but making sure we have the after sales service
yeah,
capability, the trained technicians, the tools that are required, the parts distribution, like you said. So we're sharing, again, with the advantages, we're sharing those parts warehouses and logistics with BYD. And as you saw earlier in June, we bring our own ships in now. So we can bring a ship in with 5,000 or 6,000 cars, and yes, the majority are BYDs, but we also bring Denzas in, so we don't have to rely again on anyone else for logistics for not only cars but for the parts as well.
Yeah, I know it's still a monumental job. And what's been the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is just building out There's two things. One is building out the network and continuing to build out that network. Like I said, I want to make sure that we walk the talk, that we have a beautiful showroom and we have sales and service support. So that requires from our dealer partners millions of dollars investment. So it's easy to say for me. Getting 17, we started with 4 stores last Christmas.
Yeah, that's all right.
17 now. I'd like to get closer to 20 thereabouts for the end of the year. That's pretty monumental. That's millions of dollars investment by our partners who are trusting us to deliver these products. I think the other thing, Rosco, is we are one of the most competitive markets in the world in Australia.
Yeah.
So carving out the awareness for Denza. So building the brand awareness is the other challenge. And the best way I know how to do that, and I know it sounds really, really simplistic when I say this, and every automotive person will roll their eyes when they hear this, it's bumps and seats. I know I've got a world-class product at a really competitive price. So the more people I can get to drive my vehicle. So my team, probably every Monday morning, the one thing I ask is, how many test drives did we get on the weekend? And don't wait in the showroom for people to come in. Take cars out, set up events, go to 4x4 shows. We're closing, on average, Rosco, 50%, 50% of the people who drive a Denza buy a Denza. So to answer your question is build that network out, and so people have trusted dealers to work with, and then build the awareness and get people to come in and do drives.
That is outstanding. And then again, speaking of major events, Everything Electric's coming up in Sydney, 18th to the 20th of September. So less than a month away now. Will Denza be there?
Yes. So our dealer in Sydney was already chasing us about a month ago. So the dealer is going to take the lead on this, because really what I'm trying to do is encourage our dealers with their people and their cars to go out and meet the customers in Sydney at Everything Electric. We're obviously going to be supporting them with some marketing assets and other things that they need to make sure they do the thing. But it's important to be out there in front of people.
And your preferred dealer structure is they're independent dealers who've taken on this as a franchise situation?
Well, we have 3 dealer groups that predominantly we're working. Eagers is one of them, because they've done such a fantastic job with BYD. Our distributor, so Luke Todd, is now taking on retail in Sydney. So Luke is the dealer for Denza in Sydney.
Is he working for you now?
Well, I wouldn't say he's working for me. We share a lot of ideas, but he's such a believer in the brand, not only BYD but Denza, and so he's investing in some beautiful stores and some great people. So
brilliant. No, that's outstanding. I'm very pleased to hear that. That's not something I had seen elsewhere. So that is brilliant news. So
and then we have a third dealer group, Harmony, and so those 3 dealer groups are predominantly the way we're going to market now, but we have individual franchise agreements for each of the stores.
We've talked a lot about process and development, but we better get to product, because again, you've mentioned a couple of hybrids, but this is one that I liked, the D9. This is pure electric, right?
Yeah, we haven't done a lot to let's say launch this, and it's not a huge segment in Australia compared to. So I get challenged often when I go to China, because they sell heaps of these in places like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. There is a segment here. I mean, if you look at some of our competitors, they're in the $180,000.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
under the luxury car tax. So
Yeah.
our D9 is the front wheel drive variant is 85,000
Yeah.
by design to be under the luxury car tax, and so people can take advantage of the fringe benefit tax or avoid the fringe benefit tax if they're doing novated. So we've seen steady demand for this, and it's a great vehicle to drive.
I was surprised at the pricing, given the level of luxury on this one. I thought it'd be well in excess of 120. So that surprised me. The front wheel drive, rear wheel drive.
Front, yeah.
Yeah, came in at such a price point. That was brilliant. So yeah, that in itself, and as you say, the Indonesians and markets and some of the Asian markets are much bigger on the people movers. But again, that I think this has got plenty of room for development here in Australia, and we're going to have a chat to Dave a bit later on, who's actually got one of these, and have a chat to what he's using it for. But
we see the market, Rosco, as there's individuals, probably like Dave, and so there's probably 50% of the sales are true retail.
Yeah.
The other 50% are luxury limousine type companies and let's say hotels.
Yeah.
And those kind of businesses that like to transport their VIPs in a special vehicle, and we're starting to get some good demand out of that area as well.
And there's been on the horizon. There's been one in the UK that's been teased as well. Are we going to see this one here?
Yeah, so that is on the roadmap. So I talked about this. We showed this at the Melbourne Auto Show back in April.
Yeah.
So we're probably still a few months away from the Z9 GT, but that is the next car to arrive in Australia, whether it's the next quarter, later in the year, or I love that ad, and obviously, even though
check it out on YouTube, because
James Bond, we call him James Bond, but
exactly,
that is great. We have it on our socials. I haven't been able to air it as much as possible because apparently I was told by someone that there was reckless driving involved, which is frowned upon. So we haven't shared the ad as much as I would have liked to. But
it's check it out on YouTube.
It's definitely what's on the horizon, Rosco, as our next vehicle.
That was an exciting move because that was probably surprising for many people, but by the same token, it's attracted a lot of attention in the UK and Europe, and certainly put you on the map over there with festivals like Goodwood and stuff like that as well. So maybe we might see a sneak peek of that one if it's still in the country at Everything Electric. But this one I saw in one of the magazines as well. Is it, we're going to see this beast or not?
So that is a beast. So that is that's the ultra luxury brand of the BYD family of Yongwang and the U8. So we are in discussions. So we have a few vehicles to launch ahead of time.
Yeah.
But we are in discussions to bring that in with limited supply into Australia, because that'll be, I would venture, we haven't priced it yet, but it would be well north of $300,000 type of thing. So small volume, super luxury, and the idea is maybe that's offered at our flagship Denza stores in the future. But I need to do build the foundation, build out some more stores, and sell the cars that are in front of me today before I get too excited by that one.
Yeah. What else is on the horizon? Can you mention anything else?
I can, because I know there's people who watched the Goodwood Festival saw Jensen Button driving a Denza Z. So that's that.
That's right. Yeah,
that's the sports car, and I just saw it in China as well. So that is after the Z9 GT. That is on my shopping list. So basically, I was told by the bosses that sell the cars that you have and build out the dealer network, and we will reward you with the Denza Z, right? So is part of my motivation is to like I said, complete. Well, it's never completed, but further build the dealer network,
Yeah.
make sure we're taking care of the customers, continue to grow our volume, which we've now sold. Believe it or not, Roscoe, we've sold about 3,000 Denzas since our first registrations were in February. And it doesn't seem like much if you look at it compared to all their big mainstream volume brands. But it's a massive effort by our team to sell that many cars in a premium space at 75, 80,000 above in a relatively short
No,
6, 7
no doubt.
months.
Yeah, no doubt they look at average price quite closely as well as volume, and they want to see the bottom line, right? And we touched on that battery tech, and this one I saw in an article in China more recently as well. So it just keeps getting better and better in terms of the technology, and the BYD building its own batteries. You benefit directly. That flows straight through. Again, this one I don't know much about. This the N8.
Yeah, so that's not on our roadmap yet, but I think the important part is, and we are looking at another premium SUV because there's a couple others that exist in China, and I won't mention any names yet, but we're looking at something that's quite a premium Range Rover-esque type vehicle for us as well. But yes, the next generation they call Blade 2 batteries, and so that technology will come to Denza because we are at the top of the food chain when it comes to technology, and so the charging capability that Blade 2 brings and the ranges is just it's amazing. So I'm really excited, and like I said, the speed of innovation that comes from BYD as an entity is mind-boggling. I feel like in China, which is probably once every month or two, there's something new they're sharing with us, a new innovation, some new technology, other things that are on the horizon, more self-driving type things, the auto parking. So I had my colleague, we were driving with my colleague in the Z9 GT in a tiny little street in the back alleys of Shenzhen to go to this really cool restaurant, which was amazing. And she just put the auto park on in a tiny street where there's probably a couple centimeters on either side, and the car just bang right in there. And same thing with the leopard, like the U-turns and leopard turns and tank turns. So as you get these innovations coming to the cars with E3, which is 3 motors, and then the U8 you showed actually has 4 motors. And so that not only gives you the power, the torque, the capability, and like mind-boggling speed. Like that Z9 GT is 2.7 seconds 0 to 100. But it also gives you these abilities to move the vehicle, to do crab walks and
I'm thrilled that you've shared your experience in the Z9. So you've clearly been in it. You've clearly experienced it. So that is outstanding as well. So
I've done some drifting, but you'll have to cut me off because I'll go for hours to talk about the car. I love drifting, for me. And but anyway, I'll and next time, one of these times, Roscoe, we'll have to get you up to one of our tracks in China and go for a drive.
That's that's fantastic. From a hardcore V8 man from 30 years ago, Mark, it's fantastic to see the evolution. But I want to carry on and have our guest join us today. We've got an owner of a Denza, and he's a friend of mine as well. So join us, Dave Power, with his Denza D9. Dave, how you doing?
I'm going well. Thank you for having me, and lovely to meet you, Mark, as well. It's really interesting hearing about your background and where you're going with everything.
Given Mark's customer focus, I really want to introduce a customer with a bit of feedback on the D9 straight back to him. And Dave's in the back of the D9 experiencing it right now. What did you buy one, Dave, and how are you finding it?
It is fantastic. I'm actually just using the remote right now on the touch screen at my armrest here just to get it comfortable. I mean, it's been cozy this whole time with the massage seating and the ventilation, all the ModCon features, including a little fridge back here. To give everyone a bit of background as to why we've gone for this model is we're in the production game doing event production and video production all around Australia. And so the amount of kilometres that we do, on my previous car, I've got 170,000 kilometres on the Kia EV6 and the Nero has 120,000 kilometres. So we had a fleet of 2 and essentially expanded to 3. I've already got 12,000 kilometers that I've put onto the Denza D9 in the space of 6 weeks. We are constantly up and down from Melbourne. We do road shows. We do all sorts of travel. And the thing is, yes, you can catch a plane there, but can you take all the equipment that you'd
Yeah.
like to take on a plane? Probably not. And this is where obviously transportation is huge with business and operations. So, from a business point of view, that was first and foremost where we're coming from. But secondly, we've started, seeing a rise in demand for what Mark mentioned earlier around luxury transfers. And
Yeah.
so, a sub brand of Power Creative now is that luxury transfer market.
Yeah.
And because we're in the content game, I've actually built it as a service offering within that content strategy so that way, should someone be having a leadership team day or some sort of corporate event where they'd like transfers to the Hunter Valley or wherever they're going, we can also building the event and video content capture as well as a luxury transfer. And I do a lot of work with New South Wales tourism as well. So there's this whole network of executives in the world that I work and play. So, for me, this product just fits that mold perfectly.
Hey,
Brings us
Dave,
to
by the way, it sounds like you could be a brand ambassador
yeah.
for me. So
Yeah.
just let me know when there's more demand, and I'll set you up with your own like dealer code, and you can start selling Denzas for me. So
Yeah, that's
Well, thank you. Everyone who's been in it has been asking, and I've been giving them the
yeah.
full rundown. And even my 12-year-old daughter, will show people how to use the touchpad and everything. So we might have to look at getting her on board as well in the sales team, I think, Mark. But
well,
it's one of those things that's so easy to talk about because it's so user friendly and intuitive. That it's just it comes off naturally. I think when people ask about it.
Dave, I'll need to introduce. You're in Sydney, correct?
Lake Macquarie, but I am in Sydney most of the time when I'm not back home in Lake Macquarie.
I'm going to need to introduce you to Luke Todd, obviously, who was the distributor of EV Direct and now has the Denza franchise in Sydney. And he would love to have that connection. And our house of Denza, so each of our flagship stores, Rosco, we touched on this briefly.
Yeah.
Each of our flagship stores in, so Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney for now, and others, there is a house of Denza, which is basically a space. If you think of it as like an executive lounge, kind of like the Qantas Chairman's Club or something, that you have access to. So if you ever need to go and host a meeting or even do some business, you're always welcome to the house of Denza. Right. And certainly,
amazing.
If you're talking about the products, I'm sure Luke will set you up and take care of you there.
Where did you buy yours from, Dave?
Yeah, so Kevin Howard in Sydney at Rush Cutters Bay was my contact, and from the minute I walked through the door, the feeling that you get is just they're there for you, and not in a pushy sales way, but much more of a accommodating. What would you like to know type of way. And they also, I think there's a level of respect that they understand that usually a person who walks through the doors is probably going to be, a certain level of experience or education around product. And as soon as I mentioned what I do know about where I've been and where I'm going, the level of catering to my questions and any, considerations I had in the purchase were just met by Kevin and the team. And I just really found it very, very accommodating, and to the point where they even, as soon as they found out what color and spec I wanted, they could have registered the vehicle I'm in right now as a demonstration vehicle, but they decided not to because they knew they didn't want to make me wait, and they'd rather give me that vehicle. Now, how great is that for service? Because you hear it so many times where people get their deposit taken and then they have to go on a 6-month wait. Not the case here. I could have got it within 2 weeks if I really wanted it. So, it's just, really refreshing to have that experience as well from a sales point of view. And the aftermarket's been really handy as well because I am such a high kilometre driver. I've experienced a few challenges with some of the older infrastructure on the roads around DC charging. And, Brad, who's, the head of after sales support, has been so helpful in diagnosing what's going on and giving me, real time information. So again, I'm not even going to a call center for that stuff. Initially, I logged it through the call center, but then Kevin put me on to the after sales support. And you just, you don't see that these days. It's really supportive from a business point of view to have my back.
If you have a connection to Brad, I would say you have one of the best after sales guys in the country, because I hired Brad at EV Direct. So and then Luke kept him on when he opened the Denza, and I still call Brad, Dave, on stuff, whether it's charging related or other stuff, because I know that 99% of the time Brad will have the answer, or he'll know where to get the answer. In fact, Rosco, we were talking before the show how when we launched the Shark in Broken Hill, we did a outback drive down through the Flinders Ranges and everything, and with some journalists and some drones and everything. And we said, we better have someone who, in case anything goes wrong, we had 3 brand new Sharks. In case anything goes wrong, we need someone. We said, Brad's the guy. So Brad was, and the only thing he had to do, so 3 Sharks through the outback it was a week. It was about 7 or 8 days. The only thing he had to do was change out some tires. So we had 2 out of the 3 trucks were fully kitted out with the Ironman accessories and all-terrain tires. One, we said, let's just take it right out of the box. Highway rated tires, doing 120 in the desert, not a good idea. So
this is a good time to mention that this is not a paid for sponsorship by Denza. We are not affiliated, and Mark is just a friend of the show, as is Dave, who just happens to own one. So it's good to have the relationships. It's good to get the inside knowledge, but they are not paying for this message. So
you're not hitting me up, Rosco, for advertising.
Not at this stage, but hey, that's brilliant, Mark. Really appreciate it. Dave, we'll come back to you shortly, because I want to have a closer look at that vehicle. And we're going to do a tour around it just to show you the ins and outs, because it is a fantastic vehicle. Really surprised. But Mark, hey, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate those insights, and wish you all the best, because this seems like it's onwards and upwards for Denza at the moment. And now we know a hell of a lot more than we did before. And with you behind the wheel, it literally, you are going places, right? So thank you.
Thanks, Rosco. Great to connect with you, and I appreciate you having me on the show. Take care.
Thanks, Mark. Cheers.
Bye.
Dave, thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. It's good to give some feedback straight to the boss, and now you're going to be number 1 ticket holder at the Denza frequent flyer lounge as well, by the looks of things as well.
Amazing. I might have to change my contact address to the House of Denza. So Power Creative now has an office in Sydney.
That's
fantastic.
That's even better. We didn't cover what else did you look at when you were choosing this vehicle? What made you go for this one in particular?
Yeah, well, I realised really with the amount of equipment that we need to cart around the countryside that we really do need a van. And, there weren't that many options available other than the ID Buzz and a few other models, Horizon, SV, and the Kia PV5, which is finally here now, but hasn't been launched only until last month. So,
Zeekr.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The Zeekr was actually very nice. But for me, the Zeekr was just a little bit out of my price point. Same with the ID Buzz, out of my price point. You mentioned the on-road, front-wheel drive option. I actually went for the all-wheel drive, so I spent a little bit more on this one. However,
Hey, Roscoe's back again. Well, guys, that one's frozen, so let me try and just get the rest of Dave's tour around Denza D9 back again. Let's just have one more go at that before we give up. Didn't quite make it all the way through again. Internet problems again, but we tried. We got through Mark's interview. We got through Dave's. Let's just have one more go here. Come on. No. No. We'll bring that to you another time. Looks like we've run out of steam here. We've used up all our steam. One more time, I shall try and push that button to see if we can't get that going. But let's try that one. No. Thanks, guys. Hey, it's been a good night. We'll make the most of it. We've done well. We almost got the tour. And thanks for Dave for joining us. We had a good chat with Mark. And thanks, everyone, for joining us. We've missed out on some of the tour of that Denza, but catch it at Everything Electric. I'm sure they'll have one there, or you can catch it at one of their Denza houses of Denza showrooms around Sydney and around the country. Not one, unfortunately, in the NT yet, Joe, but yeah, they're building them out fast. They've got commitment, and look, it's been great. So no, Hal, it's Ecamm Live, which is interesting. So yeah, we've lost. I've got a complete freeze on my controls here. So thanks very much for joining us, guys. We'll leave it there tonight. We've had a good run, and we'll leave it there. I'm happy with that. Thanks very much for joining us. We had a great number in 22. Discount codes up to 25% off for Everything Electric now. But a little secret, the Driven have got 30. So if you know anyone who's looking to buy, the Driven's got the best deal as a key sponsor at the moment. They've got 30% off. We've got 25, and Friday's Business to Business Day is free. There's a link there. So if you want to email me, rosco@amazingev.com.au, Everything Electric Friday, Business to Business Day, there's a free link for that one if you can take some time off on the Friday. So thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. One more go. Try and get this thing cranked up again, but she's completely frozen. I'll make the most of it, and thank you, everyone, for joining me. We had 22 at one stage. And a great chat with Dave and a great chat with Mark. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next week.